Hi, this is Annie Grace, and welcome to this Naked Mind podcast. And I'm here with Jill. Welcome, Jill.
Hi, Annie.
How are you?
I'm doing okay. How are you?
I'm doing good, really good. So why don't you kind of take us back to the beginning for you, where your drinking started and where everything kind of originated?
Okay, so I didn't drink a lot in high school, like some people did. My college years were kind of interesting because I didn't drink during the school year. That wasn't the time I drank. I really drank over the summers. My parents had a summer house in a beach community where there are a lot of restaurants and bars. So I was a waitress for about 8 years in the summers there. And after the shift, it was like expected of you to go out and get really, really, really drunk. So that's where it all began, I think. But I never really wanted to do that. My friends kind of dragged me out. I'm not a kind of person that likes to be out in bars and really crowded areas. Like they would literally come to the house, give me a beer, say, take a shower, get dressed, let's go, and bring me out. And then eventually I got used to it because, you go to the bar, you have 3 shots to start out with and a beer, then everything gets a little easier. And then I would say like normal drinking, whatever that is, like, it turned into wine, and that was more sophisticated. So we would go out to a restaurant and drink wine, but then we would then go out and like have shots and beers and things. And then fast forward a couple of years later, I met my husband, and he was a drinker, but he always was like, I could take it or leave it. And I was like,
How old were you?
27.
Nice.
And, I always drank. It was my thing. It was, wine was my thing, and it made me feel relaxed. I felt like everyone was doing it then. So I'd come home from work and I would drink, and even if he wasn't drinking. And the whole time, in those early years when we were just dating, he would always say, I could just not drink. I could just not drink. I'm like, not me. Like I'm a drinker. I like to drink. This is my thing. And I was known for it, and I wasn't a cute, funny, it was like, a sloppy drunk. It wasn't cute. It was bad. And that's when the blackouts started. And my family started.
First one.
Oh God. I mean, no, no. I mean, no.
I mean, by definition, you don't remember blackouts, but
Yeah.
the aftermath of being like, wait, what did I do?
Yeah, no, and I listen to people sometimes, they're like, and I was terrified of that, that I blacked out and then I didn't drink for 3 years. No, I wasn't terrified. The next night I went out and did it again.
Mm-hmm.
I think that it was normalized. We even had like my girlfriends, there were like 3 bars all across the street from each other, and we called it the Bermuda Triangle. And there was the joke where you would time travel from one bar to the other because you would black out and not remember what happened in which place. And we thought it was so cute. This is adorable. We're all blacking out, yay, and so yeah, the first time I blacked out, no, I don't remember, but it was getting normal, and my family was noticing, and they were saying things and saying, I'm okay, I just didn't eat enough, or I know I need to cool it, but and all that, but I never did. And then I don't know when my husband started saying things. Again, it was sort of like, Jill's just a sloppy drunk, and she just whatever. And when I blacked out, I don't remember what happened, but people would say, you're fine. It was fine, So it was all like, oh, okay, well, it's fine. It's fine. Other people are black. It's fine. Everything's fine. And then fast forward even a little further. Well, just to back up, my mom never drank. So growing up in my family didn't drink. They didn't start drinking until I got older, until I got to like drinking age. And my mom never drank growing up, she was kind of like the oddball who didn't drink out of the moms. She did yoga and she meditated. She was a vegetarian. She was like just this other type of woman that was not like any of my friends' moms who, I would go over their house for dinner and their moms would be drinking, not as much as like, say, today's standards moms drinking, but enough that I noticed, why isn't my mom drinking? And I didn't know that she had a drinking problem or a bad relationship with alcohol until much later, probably until like 23, 24, 25.
Wow.
And that was before I was born. So like my brother and sister experienced it, but I never did. I never saw any of that. And then she started drinking again later in life, wine, but not bad, just whatever. And then she got sick probably when I was in my 30s and, terminally ill. At first they weren't sure that it was going to be terminal. And then, it was clear that that there probably wouldn't be anything to do. And so it was drawn out. They weren't sure how long. And I just really started drinking like heavily. And everyone was like, well, your mom's sick, yeah, she's your best friend. And I know a lot of people say that about their parents, but like she really was my best friend. And it was sort of like the excuse that you should be feeling this way. And then when she died 6 months before my wedding. I just self-medicated with wine. And again, all people kept saying is 6 months, she's getting married in 6 months and her mom just passed away. She's, what else is she going to do? She's going to drink, it's fine. And people would buy me wine and buy me extra, like they drop off bottles of wine. And it was just like, here you go. This is how, you should self-medicate. Yeah, cope. Exactly. So then she passed away, and it was a mixture of grief, obviously, and then also anticipation for my wedding that was 6 months away. Grief, and then also a little bit of relief if you ever had someone close to you that's been so sick for so long, you don't want them to be in pain anymore. And so I don't think I ever really properly grieved losing her. So then I got married and had a beautiful wedding and got pregnant right away on my honeymoon. And so everything was so wonderful, and I was happy, and I was pregnant, and I had a great pregnancy, and I had my baby, and she was absolutely perfect. And I couldn't breastfeed. I planned on it. It was my plan. I was going to breastfeed, and I couldn't do it. It just didn't work for me. And I think that was the first mom guilt. And I know, I failed, right? And I know now that I didn't fail. I understand that now. But then it was like, okay, I'm already failing at this. Mm-hmm. And so I drank. And I drank, and the support there this time was the mommy wine culture. It was everywhere. Everywhere you looked, it was on mugs, on t-shirts, every meme I looked at, scrolling through the phone as I'm bottle feeding my daughter, drinking my glass of wine, you should be drinking wine. This is what moms do. And she was really attached to me more so than my husband. And I was a stay-at-home mom, so I had no time to escape. I didn't know how to make that time for myself, to take the time to just step away. And so in my way to step away, I drank wine. And now that's scary, right? Because now you have a kid and you're blacking out like you were, but you're responsible for this little human being. And I think that created a lot of tension in my relationship with my husband, the man who could take it or leave it, and I was like, I have nothing. I can't walk away. I can't go to the gym. There's nothing I can do. I'm here with her all day. I'm always on. I'm always a mom. not to mention I'm failing at it, you know? So arguments started, and you know, every night it was a magnum bottle of wine, those like big big bottles of wine every night, to myself, drinking it to myself, and, you know, not enjoying the taste of it, just drinking it so that I could numb and escape a little bit. And there would be arguments every night. The baby would go to bed. We would argue because, you know, what was I saying? I don't even remember, but I'm sure whatever it was nonsense. And I didn't know how to vocalize my frustration of what was being home and feeling so disappointed in myself, because obviously I was disappointed in my drinking too. I understood that what I was doing wasn't the right thing to be doing. And I think that's like, when I read your book, part of what clicked for me was something that I knew all along. I always knew that the person that I was, the drinking person, didn't match up with the values of the person I wanted to be. Mm-hmm. I knew that all along. And so when I read your book, amongst many other things, that just clicked, and I was like, oh yeah, totally. But it was like, yeah, no, this doesn't line up to my values and my morals of the person I want to be, and the mom I want to be, and the wife I want to be, and the example I want to set for my daughter. So I guess it was 2017, and I don't even remember what made me, either I Googled or Amazon. And I actually think what happened was I was looking on Amazon at a different book, and someone had mentioned, this is a good book, but you should really look at The Snake and Vine. So,
oh, sweet.
I'm like, all right. So I checked it out, and I remember just like flipping through the books. I'm like, oh my God, yes. Yeah. All this makes sense. This makes sense. Oh my gosh. And I related it a lot to, I'm a vegan, and I don't push that on anybody. Same thing, like, right. I don't push not drinking, not being, you know, alcohol free or sober on anybody. It's not, but it's going against the current, and it's believing in yourself and your morals above anything else. And a lot of times, when I found this out later, and it clicked for me too, but like, when you tell someone you're a vegan, they automatically assume that you're judging them for eating meat, and that's not the case. Like, this is me, and I'm living my life. This is how I want to do it. Whatever, you know, you do you. And that's the same thing with drinking. So you tell someone, no, I don't drink, and then they all of a sudden think, are they judging me? And some people, are they judging me for my drinking, or, you know, is it some sort of thing, you know, a drinking thing on me? And it's not. So I found that out later, but it also, all of the just big alcohol just making money off of us, you know, and brainwashing us. And yeah. And so you're just, how is this happening? Like, I felt like you, when you said you were telling all your friends, and, you know, I felt like screaming from the rooftop. You guys don't understand. You don't understand what's happening. Like, this is not the way it's supposed to be. And if you can just get some space away from alcohol, you can start seeing that. But I didn't get to that point to many years later. So I read your book. Fantastic, awesome. 30 days, 31, high glass of wine, you know, and then it was all back into that same cycle again. And I'm like, why am I not like the people that I'm reading, the reviewers in your book? Why can't I read this one time, and then all of a sudden there are these I read her book once, and now I just go out with my friends every night to the bar, and I don't even want it. I'm like, I don't feel that way. Like, that's totally not the case for me. Like, it took me a long time to really swallow that big pill and understand that alcohol is poison, and it is not good for me. And no matter what people say, that is the truth. So I must have read your book like 5 times or so over the years. But that summer, I was out visiting my dad, and you know, I was drinking all day. I was just all day drinking vodka and wine, and like I said earlier, now drinking is sort of like my dad drinks, but you know, not like that, but it's, so you know, it's sort of like, okay, yeah, have a glass of wine at 2 o'clock. It's a Saturday, you know, whatever. So I fell down the stairs while I was holding my daughter. I slipped, and I don't remember what happened. I just remember waking up at, you know, 2 o'clock in the morning in my bed with her, and looking at my phone, and my sister texting me and my brother-in-law texting me, we're worried about you, you know. And I had bruises all down my side. She was totally fine. And, you know, the way I fell, I must have just held it like that. And so I just got up and I left, because I was, you know, 2 hours away from home. And the next morning I got up before my dad and just packed up, and I sent him a text. I said, I really can't, you know, maybe I can call you tomorrow, but I couldn't do this morning. And I got home, and I told my husband, I said, and I played it off like, you know, I just had a little too much to drink, and I slipped down those stairs, and I had Charlie, and I just felt like, you know, now I felt like really embarrassed. And he was like, oh, you're okay. She's okay. It happens. So he didn't mean to give me the green flag. That wasn't, but that's how I took it.
Right.
So then a couple months later, I'm at a party with her and my husband, like a family barbecue. But like, you know, the hosts didn't have kids, and they were big drinkers. So when I say family barbecue, it's not like, you know, fruit punch. And my daughter's screaming, and so my husband stays, and I leave, and I didn't drink that much, but I backed up, and she's screaming in the car, and I backed up into another car, a parked car. And again, that wasn't it. That wasn't my rock bottom. It was, you know, it's okay. It happens. You know, she had a screaming kid. It's okay. It happens. You're overwhelmed. It's okay. It happens. Like, that wasn't my rock bottom. They were all slipping on the stairs with my daughter. The hundreds of arguments with my husband, the backing up into the car, were all rock bottom convincers, things that I had left on a list for me to look at and say, you know, maybe you need to look at this. But, you know, they weren't, you really need to change it. You need to change what's going on here. So that went on for a couple of years. I did the alcohol experiment. And I did 30 days, and the same thing when I read the book, I felt like, yeah, all makes sense. These people all have a great point. You're right. My sleep is being interrupted, you know, and, I was seeing, but what's so cool about that is that you're seeing other people, you're building a community that I think is really important. I don't do AA. It was never really a thing for me. I didn't like the idea that you have a problem and you're always going to have this problem. And, you know, it is what it is, but you have to live with this negative thing for the rest of your life. And you're going to be missing out while all the normies can drink. Because that negative way of life, no matter what, doesn't seem like a fun thing for me. And then with this naked mind, knowing that, no, it's a positive thing, or like with Laura McCowan's We Are the Luckiest, like, yeah, you know, you're living in this is the positive. We are the luckiest. We got to see both sides of this. And here we are living our best life. Like we're not, you know, living with this negative thing on our chest for the rest of our lives. No, right. We're doing great. This is awesome. And that's a pretty fantastic feeling. So my husband travels a lot for work, and I was drinking a lot, and really too much and I couldn't really take care of my daughter to the way that I needed to. And he came home from a trip like a little over a year ago, and he just knew. He looked at me and he knew that I was coming off a bender. Like, you know, I was very, very, very hungover, and you know, I had a lot of alcohol, and it was not looking good. And how many times have I sat him down and said, I need to stop drinking, or I need to slow it down, or moderation's a joke. I mean, who wants to moderate, and who wants to have just one glass of wine? First of all, I don't like the taste of it. Like, and I think it was so funny when I read your book, I'm like, yeah, no, I don't like the taste of it, because when I was pregnant, people were like, you know, you can have one glass of wine. I'm like, why would you have one glass of wine? Like, I'm only going to get drunk if I want to get drunk. Like, I didn't understand. But I just want to taste it. No, there's no, so, you know, so here I am. God, I don't even know what day of the week it was, but my daughter was at daycare, and he had the day off because he had just came back from this trip. And I sat down with him, and there's just, you know, the death behind my eyes, just death. And I said, I'm really not okay, and I need to stop drinking. And I know that I said it before, but it's different. And he said, I can see it. I see it. That I think it's going to be different. And the weird thing is that I really, really, really felt it. And like, it was, sorry. I'm trying really hard not to cry. I can't think. I think, so you had Catherine Gray on one of, I'm sure many, many times. So I was listening to one of her interviews, and it might've been the alcohol experiment. Maybe not, I don't know. But she had said, you know, I kept trying to quit. I kept trying to quit. I kept trying to quit. And then one time it worked, you know, like, something like you keep doing it, and then it happens for you. And so I felt that. I felt like this is happening for me. And I picked up your book that day, and I was terribly hungover for a couple of days, because it was really, you know, I was drinking a lot. And I was like, all right, I'm going to do it. And I think reading it again, I finally got it. It like finally clicked for me. It was like reading it for the first time. It made sense. So yeah, all that other stuff that I already knew to my core the first time I read it, but to really understand that alcohol is a poison that we're told is good for us, and to put it in our body, to alter our state, to tell us that it's okay, to tell moms it's okay to drink, to escape your children, to let them know it's okay. And for them for your children to think that my mom needs to drink to escape me, like, what kind of message is that for them? I don't know. It was just my time. And it just made sense. And then a little while in, I remember thinking, holy crap, I'm going to be the person that doesn't drink. Like, I'm going to be that person at a party, and like the vegan, like, there's the token vegan over there. Like, she's going to be having like the portobello mushroom burger instead of these burgers. And here's the token woman that doesn't drink, and she's going to just have a seltzer or water. I was like, all right, well, you know, I did the whole vegan thing because I believed in it. I already feel like a little bit of an outcast, although that's getting a little different, but whatever. I chose to be my best self. And that's a whole other thing, is, although I'm incredibly nervous doing this interview, the courage that you when you can conquer something like that, something that was such a big part of your life, and you conquer it, something that I never thought in a million years that I can get over. that I never ever thought. Just thought it wasn't going to happen. I don't know what was going to happen. I couldn't even fast forward, think what would happen to me. But I never ever thought I'd be this person's, sitting here as a non-drinker. But that courage and the truth that you have in yourself is so huge. It's the best feeling ever. I couldn't even imagine doing this. Me last year would be like, oh God, I'm gonna have to drink a couple of drinks before I can even talk to her. So here I am completely sober, nervous, yes, but I'm doing it, so.
Yeah, we have that actually as like a tenet around, with all the team at the Snake in Mind, it's feel the fear and do it anyway, feel it, honor it, let it be there. Don't run away from it, but then do it anyway. It's so cool. It's so cool. It's amazing. I wanted to come back to two things that you said. First of all, when you were talking about like your mom and properly grieving, I find that to be a theme of people who medicate through grief, that actually, emotions need to process, they need to be let out, they need to actually be felt, especially in the grieving period. And otherwise they stay, and it's not that they ever go away entirely. That's not what I'm trying to say, but they change through being felt. There's a quote, and I forget who said it. Might have been Byron Katie, but it said, an emotion fully felt changes. And just that idea of, if you fully feel the emotion, even fully feeling the nervousness or the fear, or, it changes into something strong and courageous. And it's not there, but you fully felt it. And I think that we really do unknowingly hinder our ability to grieve and heal by medicating and not allowing ourselves to fully feel those emotions, even though they're so intense.
Yeah, you feel everything now.
Yeah.
And that's amazing, the good, the bad. And you don't fully feel the grief until you allow yourself to really let it in and sit with it and then release it. And I think a lot of times people don't release it, so then you hold on to it and then you carry it. But you try to find the positive in it, and and you just feel it. You're allowed to feel that. Your feelings are valid. I always say, your feelings are valid. There's nothing, you feel them, and then let it go. And there's the scariness to that is once you start doing that, it's not so scary anymore. To allow yourself to start feeling the feelings, like the nervousness, it's okay. You think about it, what's happening to your body. It's the endorphins and the adrenaline and blah, 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 blah. And so, that's your body's going to react a different way. You're going to feel, but then you feel it, you recognize it, and then you let it go.
Yeah. That's really cool. So how has it been socially, and kind of being the token one who doesn't drink?
It's okay. I think that, so my husband stopped drinking a few months after I stopped, and he didn't tell me. He just said, he was going out with his friends one night, and he said, I'm not going to drink, which it's not a weird thing. Sometimes he would go out and not drink, whatever. I'm like, all right, cool. Have fun. Say hi to the boys for me. And then a couple nights later, I'm like, are you not drinking? He's like, no, I just decided I'd stop. I always felt that way. I'm like, okay, cool. He's like, I don't know if it's going to be a forever thing, but I've always felt that way. So why am I? So I'm like, okay, that's cool. That's a little bit of a weird thing for me as far as socially, because I think that out of the two of us, obviously I was the one that outwardly, I don't think he ever had a problem with alcohol, put it that way. Obviously I did, I would leave places without my shoes, it's probably not great if you're getting to that point that you're leaving a house without your shoes. So I think that people looked at him and thought that I was making him stop. And that's, not the case. I mean, first of all, he's so strong-willed. There's nothing, if I told him to stop, even if he wanted to, he probably wouldn't out of, stubbornness, because he just does, he was going to do it because he wanted to do it. We have Sunday night dinners with his family, and the wine is, continuously being poured into your glass. And you never know how much you're drinking, because it's always his mom is always pouring wine in our glass. So it got weird for them. So at first, I thought it was going to be much harder than it was, but I think it got weird for them. Like, oh, I'm sorry, we don't have anything for you to drink. I'm fine with water. What do you think? I can drink water. I drink water, all day long. And then his mom started, having seltzer and stuff in the house. But I don't, with COVID, so, we're not terribly social people anyway. So most of my drinking was at home, but the Sunday night dinner is just the biggest difference, or holidays. But I think everyone just gets so drunk so fast that they forget.
Yeah. Yeah, that's one nice thing. Literally, people, especially if you show up a little late or something,
yeah,
people, they're in their own world. So it's really good. When you were talking about, first of all, I just really appreciate the aspect of your journey of talking about this idea of comparison, because I think so many people do get stuck in that. Like, why is it so easy for, certain people? And obviously, the people who are sending me those testimonials for the book, you're going to pick the testimonials that are the best ones. But it does make me think, I was like, I wish I could redo that and put some of the ones, because I remember also having people email me and saying, you know what, I read the book 4 times and then finally, or it took me 2 years. My head coach, Scott, he read the book, kept drinking for, I think, almost a year before he finally read the book and then decided he wanted to stop. And so there's I hope I don't get this too wrong, but I've heard it said that there's really 4 things necessary for change. And it sounds like in your story, all 4 of these things were present, and I thought I'd share them. So the first is that you believe you must change. So it's no longer I could, but there's still a little time. There's still some time ticking. I could fall a little further. I could do something else. It's a must.
Mm-hmm.
The second, and this is probably, I believe, the most important one, is that you believe you can change. So there's tons of science that says that if people don't believe they can be successful at something, they won't attempt it. So if people are told ahead of time that there's no answer to a riddle, they won't work on it. Even if they're incentivized, they won't do something they don't believe they can be successful. So I think, especially in your journey, having read it all, having seen the community, having been in the groups, having listened to the podcast, you're like, okay, other people are, I can too, The third is you have to believe that now is the time to change. There's something in between the must and the now that's really powerful. No, now is the time. And the fourth, and I think this one is really important too, is that you finally come to the reckoning that you are the only one, that it is up to you, that, I always am joking with my friends these days, because I've been, especially with everything going on in the world, and you get overwhelmed. And we have this running joke about having Rapunzel syndrome. We're all just I'm in the tower and I just need rescued. Can somebody just rescue me? And then I said, you know what? I'm just going to climb down my own hair. And we were doing hashtag climb down your own hair. And at some point your threshold gets to a point where you're like, no, nobody's coming. Nobody's coming.
Yeah.
So it just sounds like, I thought that would be helpful for listeners. Just you must change. You believe you can change. Now is the time to change. And it is up to you, that nobody else is coming. And I think that, when you're listening and you see these other people's success stories, I would almost check in and be like, okay, what one of those things isn't present for me yet? And yet is the key word, because my friend Stacy, she always says, the truth is only the truth in this moment, And so I just love that you shared that story in that way, because I think it's going to be so helpful for people. So thank you.
You're welcome. I'm a big part of the Facebook, the Snake and Mind Facebook page, and I think that a lot of times people will post like, where they're just starting out and they can't do it, and you want to say like you have to want it. There has to be the point that you really want it, and it has to be for you. You can't do it for your husband. You can't do it for your kids. And everyone hates hearing that you can't do it for your kids because they, but I'm doing it for my kid. And you're like, no, you got to do it for you, because if you're not good for you, then you're not good for anybody. Like you're going to be useless. So, you have to want it.
That's so good. So good. So let me ask you the question that I kind of wrap up with, which is, if you could go back in time to Jill, who was, coming home and feeling like she got the green light from her husband, or just feeling like she wasn't being the mom she wanted to be, what would you tell her about what life is like now?
Oh gosh. I would tell her all that anxiety that you feel and a lot of that depression that you have, a lot of it has to do with the alcohol, just having alcohol in your system. So allow yourself some distance from it, and then you'll start to see clearer. And it's okay. It is not your fault. This is an addictive drug. It is made to get you addicted. They are making money off of you. And it's not your fault. Everything you've done, it's not your fault. Yeah, there might not have been this smartest moves, but it's not your fault. And just give her a big hug and a kiss and some love, because for me, that's what helped. Especially when those things, all the stories would come back in the beginning, like, oh, the awful times, I did this, I did that. And I would just, instead of like, I would just give her love, give that person love, the person that was in pain love, because it's not her fault. And the world is great afterwards. And you're going to be amazed of what you can accomplish and the courage that you're going to gain from letting go of alcohol.
That's so beautiful. I think it's so profound. Science just resoundingly says that self-compassion is the best way to lasting change. And I love that approach. I get that question a lot of like, how do I deal with the guilt and resentment? And, it really is just over and over. You're doing the best you can with the tools you had. Yeah. Like you were doing the best you could. And I love that even visual of saying, you know what, let me look at that girl who did that thing and let me go back and put my arms around her. And let me understand that she never intended to hurt anybody.
I would really visualize it. I would close my eyes and I would have that visualization of me going and hugging a me that looks just like me, and giving her a hug and a kiss and saying, it's okay, it's all right.
Oh, that's so cool. That's so great. I'm going to tell our coaches to use that with their clients, because I think that's just so beautiful. I absolutely love that. What a profound, like really tangible way to practice self-compassion. So cool. So great. Well, thank you, Jill. It was an incredible story. Thank you for sharing all of it. You're a wonderful storyteller, and I've really, really enjoyed it.
Thank you for having me. And I just thank you for being you and for sending a message out, allowing people to question their relationship with alcohol, because I think that awareness that's happening now is really going to change the way that the world is moving. A lot of awareness is happening, but I think taking some of that fear away, for be sober curious, I feel like head this whole movement. So thank you. I'm like fangirling a little, because I think
thank you. I really appreciate that. Thank you so much. Awesome. Well, have a great day. We'll talk soon.
Okay, good. Bye.
Okay, bye. Hi, it's Annie Grace. I wanted to interrupt this podcast, or I guess the end of this podcast, to say that if you are totally serious about actually, truly, and forevermore transforming your relationship with alcohol, really leaving it behind in the rear view mirror for once and forevermore and changing your psychology about it, we have a program called The Path that is created specifically for you. Now, it's not for you if you just, are still dabbling or still trying to figure out where you want to be, or, maybe even still want to moderate. All those things are fine. But if you are beyond that and you're like, no, I just want to be done with this. I'm ready to invest some time and I'm ready to just make this happen. I want you to check out nakedmindpath.com and join us in the path where you can truly make this lasting change you want in your life. And as always, rate, review, and subscribe to this podcast, as it truly helps the message reach somebody who might need to hear it today.